divided. I couldn't make up my mind. Cause I'm a victim of sweet laughter. Bad. But how come I'm excited, delighted? A boy, I'm in love. Never knew. Well, a very, very, very warm welcome to all of those of you who are listening in. I know that you cannot right now see any of the most beautiful people in the entire universe, but you shall see us soon, and when you see us, you shall bow down. No worshiping, no worshiping. Not yet. Thank you very, very much for joining us here on this very, very special broadcast. I am Theophilus van Rensburg-Linster. You will see me shortly, and you'll see some of my guests shortly. Thank you for joining us in this space. This evening, we are talking about a very, very big subject, agro-processing and its possibilities for South African communities. You're listening, in the meantime, to the music of Andre de Lang in the background singing "You Are a Treasure." Believe you me, you are. Well, as I promised, I'm going to be switching the screens now, and Karmini Pillay-Rangan is going to unmute that wonderful little button in front of her, and so we will see us. There we are. We are live. Karmini, thank you very, very much for joining us on this very, very special evening. Good evening to you.
Good evening, Theo. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Well, thank
It's
you for
windy
saying
outside.
yes.
It's a special evening.
Yes. We saw each other last in the good old Durban neck of the woods in September.
Yeah, Zimbali was fun.
Yes, it
Not
was
really
great.
because it was Zimbali. The people were awesome.
Yeah, it was good to be there, and we were there for the Urban Agri World Summit. I think it was their fifth one,
Yeah.
and so it was great to connect there with you at that particular junction. And for those of you who are joining us here, and I know there's a good number of folks in your own orbit that have promised that they would listen in. Um,
A
and so
promise is a promise. They did
a
promise.
promise is a promise. You're absolutely right. Um, so thank you very, very much. I'm going to bring you in and out here this evening because we have a couple of folks. I'm hoping that they can join us. Sven Isaacson, who is currently in Spain. That is very illegal for me because it's like 10 times warmer than here in Stockholm. You have the same kind of enjoyment of grand weather in the south. And so does my friend Terence Martin. I haven't seen Terry in yet, but I am sure when he gets there, we will let him in. All the same, thank you very, very much again, Karmini, for spending this time with us. Just give a little bit of a brief background. Tell us in 120 seconds, who is Karmini?
What a huge question for 120 seconds. Well, Karmini is a director of Pulse Africa,
Mm-hmm.
and we have fully accredited programs that are in South Africa. We specialize fully in agricultural training, vocational agricultural training. We're looking at your farmers that don't have the technical ability nor the certification, so we do offer both.
Right.
Um, and I'm the director of it. That's Karmini. Kamini's also a mom, and Kamini's also a wife. Kamini's just amazing. Like I could talk about her all day. She's
I'm
just
sure
a
you
star.
can.
you, you did that in
But
just
in a
over a minute.
nutshell,
Yeah. So you,
education is my passion,
yeah,
and so the topic you're speaking about today really resonates with me. It's something that we work with all the time.
fantastic. Well, for those of you who are listening in and viewing us here on these various platforms, thank you for spending your time with us. We're very, very concerned about many issues related to vocational training in agriculture, training people in general. I think the biggest investment you can make is to create a space, an ecosystem for other people to do three things at least in their lives. Number one, acquire knowledge. Second thing is have the ability to sharpen their skills to solve real problems. And number three, have the opportunity to raise their level of understanding of the world around them. Now, you will notice that nowhere in that we talked about earning money. We think that once we've created this ecosystem, some of these opportunities that come up there as a result of acquired knowledge, as a result of skills improvement, and as a result of understanding, the opportunities that come out of that, you will be able to grab them because you have these three elements there. And that's what we stand for. This broadcast is managed by Learning Academy Worldwide. It's a South African nonprofit. And once a week on Wednesday evening, 7 p.m. Central European Time, that's 8 o'clock South African time, we broadcast from Stockholm. The reason why we do that is because I live in Stockholm, and we would love to broadcast what we do in the wonderful South Africa, especially for communities at stake, with high stakes communities. We'd like to broadcast that to the entire world. We're in a very, very fortunate position because right here in Stockholm, we have been blessed by having a space allocated for this broadcast. A man with the name of Sven Isaksson donates this space to us to broadcast and promote vocational training in agriculture in South Africa, and particularly the projects under the management of Learning Academy Worldwide. Our paths have very recently crossed with Karmini and her wonderful team. And we've been very, very fortunate to sharpen our skills in trying to find ways to collaborate. And we're continuing to do that. Karmini, on that, thank you for the opportunities we've had together to wrestle around some of the collaborative possibilities. One thing that we want to jump in this evening is the whole issue of agro-processing. And it is my view that I wanted to bring up a slide here that just to help myself to understand a lot of these things is that there is, I think, a little bit of a gap, if you wish, where people don't really see in these rural communities that you can take something that's given to you, you can transform it, you can preserve it, you can package it, and you can prepare it into a product for consumption. That for me is basically an understanding of agro-processing. Do you is that your sense as well?
It's exactly that.
Mm.
From rural communities, package, process, consume. We're always looking in specifically in rural communities at the raw product, but not necessarily just for that instant gratification of income, but not necessarily looking at the processed product actually being more worth more in value.
Mm.
So it's something of a mind shift change, I think, that's happening very slowly. But if we get there, the possibilities for those communities are endless.
Mm. Absolutely right, and I want us to go there. And just before we go there, if you have a question, I'm sure that you'll have an opportunity to interact on any one of these platforms. We'll try and navigate and see if we can maybe address some of them. If you have or some of them come up, please don't hesitate to actually ask them to us. We're in a very, very wonderful circumstance at the moment as an organization. We've benefited from a funding directly from the European Union's Erasmus Plus program, And this enables and strengthens us to do teacher training and teacher development within vocational training in agriculture. And if you have an opportunity, if you would love to support what we do, right now on the screen you can see there's a quick response code where you can log on and support what we do. Specifically, and I'll speak a little bit more about that. When you go there, you'll find there's opportunity to support a part of the agro-processing initiative that we have, and that is to help us raise the funding for 3 agro-processing containers. And I'll speak a little bit more about that. We started in that conversation last week. A little bit more about that later. In the meantime, while that quick response code is up there, I would like to play you a song again by Andre de Lang. And you will hear us use this name quite often because Andre is a very, very special and precious friend of ours. And he has a way of touching our souls with his music. I don't know, Karmini, have you heard of Andre de Lang?
No idea, but if he's your friend, he's my friend.
Andre, my goodness, if you were in the studio now, that would be just absolutely magic. So that is very, very precious, and you're absolutely right. One of the things I really love of Andre's music is that there's just sense that, look, I am here, I'm alive. Let's listen to that song.
There's a way that seems alright sometimes, but the end can be addressed a lie in disguise. Had my share of bad choices, broken dreams, disappointments. Through it all, the makings of a man. As I look back on my life story, and I see where your love has brought me. Hallelujah, I'm alive. Hallelujah, I'm alive. Don't know what tomorrow brings. Shall not fret nor fear within, 'cause I know on solid ground I stand. Will lift my hands up to the sky. I will shout 'cause I'm alive. I will dance like David did before. And I will not take life for granted, 'cause now I'm living the life I've always wanted.
Yeah, that's Andre de Lang, South African-born Swede. He's actually right now in South Africa enjoying the beautiful sunshine, as most of my guests are. If I look at right now on the screen, I see 3 people, myself and 2 other people, and I'll bring them onto the screen. Now, there they are. Now, this is what I call temperature injustice. I'm sitting in the cold, and Sven Isaacson is soaking up the sun in Spain. And Karmini is at the end of her lovely summer's day in South Africa. But my turn will come. Sven, may I introduce you to Karmini? Karmini, this is Sven Isaacson.
Hi.
For some reason, I can't hear you there, Sven. There you go. s- sorry,
It's because he's in a nice place.
sorry, Sven. Still no sound from you, buddy. Hmm. Just hold on. Let me just do something here on my end. Give me a second.
It should work.
There you are. It works. Now it works.
Thank you.
Sven Isaksson, as I mentioned earlier, Karmini is solely responsible for us having this opportunity to broadcast right here from Stockholm. And so we're always thankful for that. And the two of us, speak quite a lot on a regular basis. And sometimes the conversations start with just hi, and then all of a sudden, 45 minutes have gone. And we've talked about changing the world one sort of game at a time, one brick at a time, one agro-processing unit at a time, one container at a time. So conversations are really crucial for us as we grow and have grown together. We've known each other for just over a year and a half. Oh, time flies, Sven.
All I'm saying is the Sven that I saw in last week's podcast is not the same person that I see today. What I'm
So funny.
saying,
No,
all
thank you.
I'm saying, he's a changed person in Spain. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's so funny. 40 minutes ago, we were walking down the street here in Marbella, and I was like, I just stopped. Okay, let's try this style. So it's newly done, the braids, and it's
Very
like we
cool.
said, if you got hair, use it, for new style.
Absolutely.
If you don't get hair, so why not? And it lasts like a week or whatever. But it's so funny. You just stop, and then it just got done when I talked to Theo,
Yeah.
right in the middle of the process. It's like, it's funny, the
One.
experiment.
What can I say? One day when I'm big, I'll have hair
Yes,
like
that's
that.
the real
Oh, that's
envy that
lovely.
you have.
That's
It's
really
the
great.
hair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of the point. To use it while you have it. Whatever is like, try try to have some fun with whatever you got.
Fantastic. And Sven, when I saw earlier, you were on the sidewalk there, close to the beach, and there was basically a hairdresser right there. There's no shop, there's no infrastructure. It's just an individual that was able to provide that service to you. That was fantastic.
Yeah, and it goes like hand in hand what we said in the other podcast too. In some places, how can you connect, or how's the channel to get to your end customer? In many cases, it shut off. Here, you just go out on the street. You can make business right away, and sell stuff or provide services without nothing. And you get in contact direct with your customers. Sometimes you have to build a product, and you have to some distributor or wherever take care of your product. Like here, boom, right away. It's just you can promote. Like now, I just stop there and you connect. I can send those photos like to you, Theo, or to somebody in America, and right away you have community and discussions or a good feeling. Like if you have a story and smile, just by me sitting there and experimenting, maybe several hundred people, or you get 10 hellos or whatever. Just you have to sit and have some fun, not be from kids to adults, and why not, and I think in products or in services or volunteer, you have to touch on an emotion and have some fun too. You know what I mean? Like we are important. Like me and Theo have this dialogue of not getting too bothered by the big distractions or the problems. Like, and we can talk, and then we get around it to take it like a powerful thing, to add some attraction and movement and energy. But overall, just a story and a connection and an example of something you have done to inspire other people. And that's the key, to inspire. And we all feel good about helping people or smiling or whatever. But it's all about the local thing, because it's easy to get bothered by the world in every instance. So you start local, like we can shuffle our board now. Like I'm in Spain, you're in South Africa, and Theo is in Stockholm. But it should have been, I should be in Stockholm and Theo.
That's true.
So it's kind of,
That's true.
but it's all good. We're all local, and like me and Theo the last time. It's so funny. We talked about Swedes through the views of Finland, and Theo talked about instances about Swedish people, and I learned about that understanding how people in Sweden are in Småland. Like it would never happen if we
Mm.
were the same.
Yes,
So we
you're right.
Very
then
true.
we
Mm,
try, let's use this for good stuff
mm,
instead, and smile, and
mm.
compare.
I appreciate you saying that because Carmen and myself were talking earlier, and I said to her that there's a lot about South Africa that I know. There's a lot about Sweden that you know, Sven, but there's a lot about
Yeah,
Sweden that you don't know that I know.
yeah,
Because and I was saying to Carmody, there's a great deal that she knows about South Africa. That even though we're born on the same continent in the same country, there are just some
yeah,
things I just do not get, and it's partly because of proximity. It's got to do
yeah,
with perspectives, and so we need each other to talk through this in order to let us appreciate each other's perspective and then get the work done. Because I also think it's important to get the work done. So
yeah.
I'll work on my
So
hair. I will work on my hair. I will get that done.
I think you can do your
You, I could do this, right? Well, I challenge my students every single year. I said, look, if most of you, I'll, if you get 80% in a quiz or test, I say to the students, then I'll dye this in. You can suggest maybe the colors of the Swedish flag or the colors of. It's not happened. Yeah,
no, but you can surprise them with another flag.
That says something about the students, though. It's not you.
that's true. You're right. Listen, folks, let's Carmine, we were talking about agro-processing, and I was very, very interested when we had our pre-dialogue here on what you sense are some of both the hurdles and the potentials within leveraging agro-processing in our high stakes communities to become not just a source of income, but to change the mindset about business possibilities for startups for young people. Um, what is your sense of what is it that we need in these communities to elevate the appreciation for agro processing?
I think from a challenges perspective, people love to complain, guys. We all do it. We just focus on all the negative things that's happening and all the things that are stopping us from achieving whatever it is that we want to.
Mm,
Same in rural communities. If I look at the challenges they face, they're very real challenges. I'm not in any way making it smaller. However, we have to start somewhere. If I look at the rural communities in, say, KZN, where I'm from, in KwaZulu Natal, we have beautiful farmland, lovely weather, gorgeous crop. Issues that they face there is a lot of the youth from KZN are leaving the rural communities and going into the urban areas. And therefore, they have a very aging farming community in those areas who are not really going to now take that farm to the next level. They don't want to level up and start to scale it into processing.
mm,
So they've become stagnant. We look at places like the Eastern Cape, where women are not really considered leaders, even though they farm, they have the technical knowledge, they have the skill set. But when it comes to taking on a leadership role, where I say, as a person that farms every day, my grandmother farmed, my great grandmother farmed, so clearly I have a lot of expertise on my side.
mm,
In order for me to open a cannery, for example, um, I'm not seen as a leader. I need a man to do that. So specific areas in South African rural communities are very traditional, specifically in rural areas.
mm,
So those traditional values and cultures sometimes can be wonderful things, and sometimes they can inhibit growth. And in these cases, they do.
mm,
Um, but also from a competition perspective, if you look at the big guys in this country that produce milk, for example,
mm,
we have so many small scale farmers producing milk, but they struggle to get to the South African qualifications, and not sorry, the quality authority, where they can have that quality that Clover can do, that Parmalat can do.
mm,
Big brands that have the power, the mechanisms, the know-how, and the small scale guy doesn't have somebody who's QAing every single second batch.
got it.
Doesn't have the scalability where he can now take his liter of milk and still price it as at the same as the mass producer that's pricing it at 20 rand, for
Mm,
example. So you also have to look at the competition and what the big guys are doing and what the policies that govern them should dictate what they should be doing,
mm,
because they also do have a responsibility. The same communities that are supporting them should also benefit from them. from a mentorship perspective, from a training perspective, and also from a buy perspective.
Mm,
If you think about a rural farmer in Limpopo, he doesn't have access to market, not really. His
mm,
market is his community and the people around him. And he not only does he not have access, he's unaware of access. It is the job of big business. It's the job of our people to make sure that those small scale farmers have that kind of access, not just physical access, but also access to market. We
mm.
need to be on equal playing fields if we're going to become competitive.
Wow, there's a lot there.
How
The,
serious?
uh,
That was not like Sven, like I'm
no,
so cool in Spain and
no,
what
no,
what
but
what-
it's a good reality check. I do understand what you're saying is that sometimes um, it sounds like we are complaining, but I think both of us we all share this common view that I really thank Cormac Russell for that looped it into my thinking in a book he called The Connected Community, where he talks about let's focus on what is strong in the community, not what is wrong. Now, okay, that is it's a really good attitude to have, and I think we all share that disposition. That's really where we want to go. But there is a reality that we need to navigate through. On that market side of things, the smaller markets, which is closer to home for the dairy farmer, for instance, or for anyone, or um, is that an area that we can do a little bit more than we have done, you'd think?
I think if we take on a multifaceted approach, we don't just take a throw funding and grants approach, because that for me is the biggest fail. We have so many grants available and funding opportunities available, but without the knowledge of how to use those funds adequately towards scaling, and without the business acumen, not just the technical skill of how to do the processing, but also the business acumen to scale in a way that makes you competitive and also commercializes them slightly, I think that requires the work. I'm biased. I'm always going to come back to education. I always say you can throw money at anything. It doesn't mean it's going to work. But I can really educate you on how to utilize those funds. You won't even need all that money if I educate you well enough.
And I think in any market you can't compete, like in dairy and everything is regulations. It's not even possible in any markets. You know what I mean? In Sweden and farming, it's all big business. It's like you have to be. It's just life. You know, you can't just have a cow. There's no agriculture in Sweden. It's hard everywhere. So why would it work in South Africa if it doesn't work in Sweden or in America? That's like a trend that's gone on for 50 years. So it's all business. It's like a meat industry or industry, whatever. You have fortune in some countries where it's less regulation than more. So it's like the farming and whatever in Sweden is super hard. You need a whole family, you need a lot of money, and the next generation will lose the farm, and nobody wants to work there. That's like an international trend. So you have to focus on where, as a small business, can you operate? It's in any category. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, we can get the milk from here, but maybe you shouldn't have the cows. So you focus on, like what we say, Theo, you can grow the onions, or can I do it? Is there a market for me growing potatoes, or is there a market for me growing oranges? Some areas you can't go into, like, no, milk is for that's big business and regulations. So it's impossible in Sweden to even have that business. Even horses and farming, that's like a dream. You just lose a lot of money. You have to have, if you have $10 million, you will. How do you get $1 million? You start with 10. That's just horses. So that's in agriculture. It's hard. Where we, what you say, more here would be the opportunity, like a container, whatever, where you can go from fruit or growing to actually meet the market in a way, like a lemonade stand or wherever. Yes, you have to be smart, but some categories you can't. Like, you know what I mean? Even in processing meat or whatever, you have to be very smart about, so you don't get into projects where it's already the time has lapsed. If it's not for producing milk for very local reasons, and you can have a mom and pop area you supply to important functions. Otherwise, you're already out on the market. So then you have a different market. Then in like America, here you have an organic. It's overpriced, but I guess you don't want to market an exclusive premium product. We are talking about young people getting in and have the ability to get land and have a reasonable career. But so then you have to go into the fields where it's viable. Is it in fruits or potatoes? You know, like or beverages. You market like a beverage, and you make this from something that you can make, or like if you look how you eat and whatever. But in many places, it's no go. Uh, all over, you know, it's highly competitive, and it's like in France with the farmers. It's just some areas you're left. In Sweden, it's only a few areas where it's still feasible, and all the new generation are struggling. Why do this work? Agriculture is hard, but if you have the land and you have some play by play, there might be a future for young people that are strong and entrepreneurial to have a viable market. If it's healthy, nutritional, adding something to it, but if it's just stock products, forget about it. You know, there's maybe a better solution. I think you have to be honest in that, you know, because just in the area, or even talking about animals, just from the beginning, if you can use a horse instead of a tractor, it's good. But for here in Sweden or in the rest of Europe or whatever, horses just cost you money. You have to be rich. But like maybe like in South Africa, in Harlem or wherever, okay, we can use this horse to use these kind of things, and so we don't need to invest so much in a tractor, or maybe one guy buys that tractor and uses for the whole area. So how you starting to talk, how can I help and be an asset to my community? If we get this product like the container, we can process and sell juice directly. Like I am walking the street, I can spend 40 euros from a woman doing my hair right from Senegal. She's adding value directly. It's no red tape. You know, if you like make lemons from lemonade, you are in business. But I think that approach in it, that's universal. Like so many industries are just stopped, and we and Theo talk a lot about music. It's like it's the worst, hardest time for music. The whole industry is set up for you to not even exist. So, and agriculture is like, wow, you need to provide something that can add to the good things that people are interested in, but you cannot go into areas where it's taken over by the big industries. You know, they are more effective at it. So maybe then you supply something they need for you to exist, you know. So I think the guiding have to be in realism. Otherwise, it's just going to be a struggle that they start and it's no market. Then you're out already, you know.
That's quite a tension there. You wanted to say something there, Karmini?
Yeah, I was talking about triple BE. At least we have triple BE. I'm saying it really is a saving grace. Every
Yeah.
big company has
Now,
to comply with triple BE.
Karmini,
So,
maybe that's something that you probably need to explain to Sven. Um,
yes. So triple BE is sort of a scorecard. So our companies, the parent company, Apex, you, myself, Pulse Africa, we do a lot of triple BE work, meaning company A, big company, has a scorecard. In that scorecard, it says specifically that they need to bring up or mentor or
Yeah,
fund or somehow with small scale businesses. The problem is it's not very specific, so it says small scale business. That's it.
yeah,
So it's not specific. So perhaps BE needs to be slightly more specific. The concept is beautiful. It really forces big company to start taking the small guys seriously and actually investing in them. But it's not specific. So there is quite a lot of work that still needs to be done. I mean, South Africa's democracy is pretty young. Um, it's youngish, and I think we've been trying to make good strides. I've seen it work. I've made I've been part of lots of projects that made it work. But in the agri space specifically, I think if you're an agri or agro processing type company, you should be sort of policy that you should be assisting small scale farmers to reach the kind of to at least become slightly competitive with you. Then you've done your job. Then you've actually spent the scorecard money profitably. So